Okay, welcome back, guys. So this week going forward, we're going to be discussing supply and demand. Now, supply and demand is a very interesting concept, and it's a very sought after concept on the internet. However, supply and demand is used in many different techniques and variations, which we're going to clear out all the creases here. But before even clearing out all the creases, what we're going to do is we're going to dive into the basics, going into what is supply and demand. So this lesson is going to be the introduction, and we'll go into different types of patterns that you see for supply and demand and the core basics of actually what it means, because that's where all the trading happens. If you do not know what it means, what's the point of drawing it, right? So we're going to go into all of that concept from A to Z completely. So let's start with discussing, why is supply and demand important? What does supply and demand represent? Okay, so if we see this chart here, this is the New Zealand CAD on the 60-minute chart, we see markets moving all around, right? So some people might be drawing supply and demand, saying this might be a supply and demand, okay, right in that area. In fact, I should clean that up. It'll make it lighter. Okay, some people say that's supply and demand, but before we even touch into why that's wrong in so many levels, we're going to discuss what supply and demand is, okay? So back to the basics. Supply and demand is extreme forces of the bigger players. Okay? It's trying to tell us a bigger player is present in that area. Okay? Just to put it in a nutshell, that's what it is. Okay, so when you see a bigger player present, what we're actually talking about is, do you see the market when it reached up to this area? It dropped very, very, very drastically. I want you to stop thinking about the chart like that, where in terms of a design, and start to focus on the concept first. We'll go into the designs later, but first thing comes is the concept. The concept of price was going up. Something happened at this price that it made it collapse. Now, how far did it collapse determines how strong this price was. Okay? That's an important factor to us. So if we say this area is important to us, we're going to go into the drawing part later, like I said. All we're doing is this whole area is important to us. There's something there, okay? There's something there. There's something about the big boy who's a seller who comes in, or the big boy who was a buyer from here finally stepped off the table and says, okay, enough. Or he's afraid of that price. He stopped buying. So whichever way you look at it, there's something happening there, okay? Same thing here. Look at the difference between the way the markets are coming down versus the way it goes up. And also consider always the distance as well. How far is he going? Okay, so there's something important there as well. So the core basics of supply and demand is, if there's something above you, we call that a supply, okay? That's the terminology. If there's something above you, we call that a supply. Because prices, when it goes up, it comes down. Okay, now think of it this way. If you have, cell phones, you have iPhones, right? You have one iPhone and 500 buyers. Do you have a lot of supply? No. You have a lot of demand, right? But the moment you have one or two buyers, but you have 500 iPhones, what do you have to do with price? You have to discount the price. Once you discount the price, more buyers will come. Otherwise, your price is too high. That's the same concept of supply and demand. So anything above you is called supply. Anything below you is called demand. Okay, so before we go into drawing, consider concepts of supply and demand in terms of that ideology of what happens there and why. Okay, so prices are going up here. They're rising, rising, rising. Here's a drawing of that. Okay, prices are rising non-stop, stops here, comes down, reaches this part, and rises drastically here again. So, what do we say? Are we saying this is supply? Are we saying this is demand? Okay, supply being above us, demand being below us, and if the price is right here, should we be afraid of this price where our buyer was afraid? Okay, remember going back to our mastering price action pieces, saying that don't forget the knowledge of what the big boy is trying to do. If your big boy is running from here to here, and then he pulls back from here to here, he's still got power because overall he's maintaining grounds. This is very important. Many supply and demand traders, they forget this concept and they just go into the design and they start hitting trades with their fingers crossed, saying that, okay, come on, man, I'm gonna mark this area right here and saying that's my supply and demand area, and I'm gonna hit a sell from there. Okay, this is just a vaguely one drawn. There's more aggressive supply and demand scenarios where I can show you guys. So, and then the sells don't work, and they're like, okay, it's a hit and miss, it's a numbers game, we'll keep going. You can actually help the numbers game by understanding the flow, why supply and demand occurs. Okay, going into more examples. Let's go into the more details. Again, supply is above you, demand is below you. Okay, let's open up a new chart. Let's go into Euro USD, for example. Let me clear this one out. Okay, here we go. So take a look at this area here. Here, the buyers start the market. They start from here, they go up to this area, and then boom, 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 like chop, 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 something around this price they're chopping. Okay, something around this price they're chopping. It does not mean supply is kicking in. Okay, what we're looking for is dramatic events. Dramatic events show us true supply and demand. Okay, so when you see this dramatic event going upwards, do you see any dramatic events coming down? Not much, right? You just got a little bit of pullbacks coming in. So there's no dramatic events coming down. Hence, our buyer is not afraid of anything. He's just been held by a traffic cop that's slowing him down, but he's not pulling back. Okay? Then he goes up again, full throttle, all the way to the top. He gets up to there, and something around this price makes him take a dive. Okay? Now, how much of that dive is happening? Oh, it's like 10%, 15% compared to the movement from here to here. Okay? Maybe 20% dive. Comes back up, no higher high. Comes down again, no lower low. Comes up, no higher high. And then it drops again. Now, this time drastically, showing us that there's something about this price area, right? Now, what happens is, again, supply and demand traders will also eye this area, thinking that this is an area where price might hold again. Okay? Now, we don't want to be using supply and demand to the T. We want to be using supply and demand as a knowledge base that can stop the market. Okay, we'll get into more details of how all this stuff works. So the introduction basically is supply and demand is extreme anomalies in the market that may occur again. Okay, if the buyer or the seller is scared of a certain price, he might be scared again. That's what it's saying. Okay, so if the price is scared from here, if the sellers coming down are scared of this price, and the prices rise dramatically, they're saying that next time price comes down, they'll rise dramatically again. Now, let's put this into a nutshell. Okay, that's a basic way, layman's term to explain it. Price was scared once, he'll be scared again. Now, let's put it into an example, because an example is the best way to cement it in your mind. Okay, think of it this way. Here is the buyers. Okay, these are the people willing to buy the iPhone. Okay, these are the people willing to buy the iPhone. Prices keep rising. That must mean one thing. There's not enough supply. Okay, people want it like hotcakes. Slows down here a bit, and then prices rise again. A lot. That means prices are the phone is still selling like hotcakes. But something about this price drops it for a big discount up until here. Now, did it crash? No, it made it a discount up until here, this price right here, and then after this discount, buyers said, okay, I'll take that price, I'll buy the iPhone again, and the prices started to rise. Now, what happens? Think about it this way. What if you were the one who bought the iPhone around here. Prices rose to here and then it dropped dramatically and dropped dramatically twice. Now, if you bought the iPhone somewhere in here and now your nephew or niece or your daughter or your uncle or some relative or friend is going to buy the iPhone and prices come back up to this price, aren't you going to tell them, no, 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 don't do that? Because I remember 1 month ago when I bought it around this price, they gave a big discount. If it happened then, it's going to happen again. That's how the human brain works, right? Same thing happens is when prices come down to here and then the buyers take it so sharply up. What happens is in the future, if you bought it from this price and you saw after you bought it, price rose so high and you're like, oh, thank God I bought it at a discount. What happens when the prices reaches that area in the future? You're going to do the same thing. Hey, buddy. Hey, niece. Hey, nephew. Hey, uncle. I'm telling you, last time I bought the iPhone 4, this price at 1.0734, prices shot up dramatically. I don't think they're going to give a further discount from here. That's the same concept. Hence, the supply and demand concept works like that. It works on human psychology of people remember price. People will remember that same spot and remember that, oh my God, it was so drastic last time. It embedded into my brain. Now, if the market is moving like this, like take a look at this one. If the market is moving like that, are you gonna think about anything? Okay, how many forums or the comments section or on the webinars are you gonna talk about this area here? Okay, if I circle this area here, how many times are you gonna talk about that? I can promise you 0 times. But when this happens, oh yeah, you can be assured every trading forum, every news channel, everything is flaring up. Now, if it flares up, that means this price people will remember where it took off from. Hence, that price plays importance into the future because it's embedded into the person's mind that, oh my God, I remember that because it was so dramatic, so emotional, it gets fixed into the brain. So think of it that same concept of in your life, what do you actually remember in your life? Anything that you remember is not just subtle knowledge. The best things you remember comes with high emotions. Whether you're super angry, you remember that moment. You're super happy, you remember that moment. You're super upset or sad, you remember that moment. Anything highly emotional, you will remember it. This causes high emotions. Hence, the memory takes on and further continues. Okay, and hence you'll see this level react and react and react. So supply and demand basically works on that concept. And again, I'm gonna help you refine it so you don't make mistakes like most supply and demand traders do. That's why I put in supply and demand. And when I sold this course, I told you guys, I'm gonna teach you guys supply and demand my way. I'm not gonna just give you guys a box and where you can just hit buy entry orders from here. That's too dangerous. Okay, we're gonna teach you a little bit of method and understanding of how to use this tool to perfection, to your benefit. Okay, so let's go on to some drawing examples. On to the next video.